Just because you're a power forward, that doesn't make you physical. Just because you're a shooting guard, that don't mean you can jack up threes. That's
what
just
were you,
position.
Jalen? What were you?
Where were you? Did you
What were you?
Did you average 1.4 points as a senior in high school?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Remember this iconic moment?
So all of that Pistol Pete stuff, Water Pistol Pete Jr.
Okay, we'll address that later. We're going to.
Don't ignore that. Did you play junior?
Yeah.
Did you play JV as a junior?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll follow
What were you?
Okay.
What were you? What was your position?
Where Jalen Rose put Skip Bayless, a talking head, in his place?
We want to start by just finding out what's your, you may have more than one issue, but what's your biggest issue with Skip?
That man in the anchor chair is Jay Crawford.
Rise and shine. Opening day is here. Welcome to the opening show of Cold Pizza. My name is Jay Crawford. Big exclusive on day number 1.
He was there from the show's inception, first branded Cold Pizza, then renamed First Take, and he was there for nearly a decade.
But I do remember the show where, just in the context of having a conversation, Skip had mentioned to Jalen, what have you won? You know, you and I have won the same number of NBA championships or something along those lines.
Crawford sat down with Awful Announcing and spilled it all, from how it all went down to the fallout, including the punishment Jalen Rose suffered for calling out Bayless.
This particular day when he brought it up, Jalen had had enough, and he just said, Skip, is it true that you averaged 1.2 points a game your senior year in high school? Skip was thunderstruck, and I was thunderstruck. I was just like, what's happening here?
Bayless would, of course, defend himself and potentially deceive the public on his high school playing career, saying his time as a starter was short-lived because of the coach's son transferring in. I did start for that team, but not for long, he claimed. A former classmate of Bayless's said he was not a starter, rather a seventh man as a senior. Big ouch.
And so he started going into this story about how the coach's son also was the point guard, and you know, here we are now. Now we're discussing in front of a very large audience Skip Bayless' senior year in high school. I knew that was only going to end poorly. I knew it.
That's when the Water Pistol Pete Jr. comment came from Rose. And the reason he says this is because of Bayless' total points for his senior year. 21 over 15 games.
Then he said, your idol was Pistol Pete. Well, you're Water Pistol Pete. And you could hear the voices in the control room go, uh-oh. And everybody in the studio got quiet. And I was in the middle of it. And I tried to graciously get us out of it and get us to a commercial break. But when we got there, it was ice in the studio. Like, it was not a good scene.
Who could forget Bayless tweeting of himself at the time? He was a previous summer camp MVP. Quote, tall for ninth grade, chosen MVP of statewide basketball camp over several future D1 players, decided I was Maravich. Coach disagreed. Crawford would then attempt to speak to both hosts in order to quell the situation. The problem was the producers on the show had other plans.
He's at the morning meeting and he tells us, so we're going to start the show today with an uninterrupted monologue from Skip. I'm not making this up. Explaining why he only averaged, 2.1 points a game in high school. And Jalen was there. Jalen was going to be there, and we were going to, and I said immediately, we're not doing this. And I was told, oh no, we're doing this. This is so important to Skip that we don't know if he's going to do the show today if we don't do this.
Instead, they went this route.
All right, look, we're a debate show. And that means we take on hot topics. We run from nothing, and we want to dive into this.
Crawford would open it up for Bayless and Rose to weigh in and hash it out. But the fallout would continue.
He doesn't change his mind, so he's probably just as adamant that that was the right thing to do in that moment. But then came word that Skip was never, Jalen was never allowed to do another first take ever again. Like, it was, he was a banned guest. He was banished.
A pathetic move from Skip Bayless. Crawford would later say in the interview that the relationship was never repaired.